Well, hey, shalom, shalom, everyone. This is John Craig, and I am back with you on another evening for an adventure in Enoch here on Walking in Spirit and Truth. And it's great to be back with you. And we've been having quite an adventure, have we not? It's been good. I think it's been good. I've been having a good time, and I know many of you have mentioned the same thing. And we're going to delve into some things and go a little bit deeper into the book of Enoch with maybe just another layer removed. Kind of an exciting time. And so that's all good. So I do see Al and Linda already in the chat room over there. Y'all were talking and praying for Miss Irene. And I agree with you in prayer that blessings and shalom and healing and restoration for Miss Irene, and also Linda. I'm glad you're feeling better. I didn't realize that when you had texted me earlier today that how things were going, but I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better. So, well, just to let you know, we are live streaming. My wife, Sandi, and I pastor Life of Worship here in Amarillo, Texas, and we are currently in between facilities. So we're still working on getting those the bills that were the leftover bills from the other building taken care of, and getting ready also to store up funds for the move and the transfer into a new facility as soon as the Father opens up that door for us. So we certainly appreciate any and every one of you that have been giving and been faithful in the giving. Thank you so much. And if you're wondering, well, we like what's going on at Life of Worship. How do we get more involved? Well, we talk about this every week, but I just want to remind everybody that we have Torah portion on Shabbat at noon Central Time, and we go through a couple hours of studying the Word in the Torah portion, and then we have a little break, and then we come back for our encounter service for a time of praise and worship, and a message, and some time of ministry and that type of thing. So we would love for y'all to join us if you're in the area, or if you're just simply logging on and you want to find a fellowship. Lots of great people joining us here in the chat room to get to know and to chat with, and quite a community it's been built up. So we love each and every one of you all, and really appreciate your input and the friendship and the family that we have here. So if you'd like to give financially to Life of Worship because you believe in what's going on and you want to support this ministry, let me put up a banner for Life of Worship. This is our website. It's lifeofworshipamarillo.org. And if you have difficulty using like a regular laptop or desktop computer getting on there, you can get onto that website using your Android or Apple. Those browsers are working. For some reason, some browsers on some computers are not working to get to our website. So please don't let that discourage you, but jump on there. And if you'd like to donate, there's a tab and it says donate. You click on that tab and it'll, where is it? Is that you'll have I think it's the menu. Click the menu button. It pulls up a drop down button, go down a little ways down that column, and it says donate. It'll bring up a screen, and in there is a connection that'll allow you to give online, and we appreciate your generosity, and may y'all bless you richly for doing that. It's really cool. I know there's many congregations, fellowships, and groups that are celebrating Sukkot this week, and a lot of things happening in the world, and we pray for the very best. We celebrated our Sukkot. Oh, it's been a week and a half now since 2 weeks since we got back. So we had a great time on the priestly calendar, and those are some of the discoveries that we're making in the scriptures, and looking back in that interim period in the second temple period, what was snuffed out, and some of those things that were snuffed out that ultimately, because of the rabbis of the Sadducees, they took control, as the house of Zadok and those many believers of the Nazarite communities were simply were the first congregations. And in that history, it's like, well, how come they weren't after? Well, what happened to them after the first century? Well, because they were the first believers. But the writings and everything are uncanny. In fact, when we're looking at the book of Revelation, you can see that from the writings, for example, the writings of John, the writings of Peter, the writings of even the writings of Paul, as well as James, whose real name is Yaakov, but and Jude as well, you can see that they share similar language with those writings that have been found in the Zadok library, in the high priestly library that was discovered in the Dead Sea caves. And in that library, and not only there, but it was also down in Egypt in those libraries. And the language is very, very similar. And you think, well, when they're using that type of language, you know that they were the contemporaries of and the successors of the Nazarites, Zadokite type communities. Some would even label them Essenes. Not really a complete name, but Josephus. He uses the name Essenes, but and I understand kind of the root of that word is it has to do with healers, and it has to do with, I mean, that's what the community was about. I mean, it was about a supernatural relationship that was living and active with the living Yah of the Most High, of all of creation. Yahweh Sabaoth, that's who we've been talking about in the book of Enoch. But it's not only there, but we see, because of the supernatural relationship, there was supernatural miracles, signs, wonders, gifts. Well, we'd say gifts of the Holy Spirit, gifts of the Ruach HaKodesh was manifest in these communities. It was not a strange thing. It was actually a common thing. And so that's why this connection with healing, this connection with the supernatural was in their communities. We don't see that very often among the Pharisees or their successors, who are the Orthodox. So it's very interesting. And that's why I'm really valuing the things that we're learning and we're discovering in the book of Enoch, because it has been quite an adventure. But I love the very things about the wording, the similar phrasing that we find within our own scriptures, and then the apocryphal writings that are from that interim, in that second temple period time frame. Those phrasings are very, 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 I think, just something to really acknowledge that there's this very, very deep connection. I keep saying very, but strong connection. All right. So, all right, enough of that said. So I talked about life of worship. Just to partner with it. Also, you say, well, I don't have the finances to partner. Well, pray. Please pray. We desire for the full manifestation of the Spirit of the living God to interact and minister to those that we are ministering to, not only locally, but here, even in the streaming. And if you've been ministered to and you've been touched and you have a testimony because of this connection here at Life of Worship, we would love to hear your testimony. And let's see, if you go to our website, you will find our email address. It's very simple. It's LOW@lifeofworshipamarillo.org. So just put LOW for Life of Worship, LOW@lifeofworshipamarillo.org, and give us your testimony. We'd love to hear what the Father's done as a result of being connected with us in this ministry, because we don't always get to talk to all of you all that are listening, and you're paying close attention, and you're like intrigued or inspired, and somehow or another you've been connected with us. And so we want to know more about you. In fact, we got a phone call the other day from David Chen. It was really cool. One of our brothers out there on the West Coast that has been celebrated. He's like, I don't have a community to celebrate with. And he set up his tent and spent some time also at Sukkot at the same time when we were celebrating Sukkot out here in the Texas Panhandle. All right, enough of that said. Let's jump into the book of Enoch. Last week, we were in the book of Enoch in chapter 61. Yeah, chapter 61. That's where we were. And it was just really interesting. We tied in some scripture from Isaiah 13:8. Now this week, it's kind of interesting that there's part of the passage here in where we didn't finish chapter 61. Not really. No, we really didn't finish it. Maybe kind of lightly it kind of part of it. But there's a part of this chapter that is interesting, that it connects with the study that we did on Bereshit on Shabbat. Now, it was during the message portion, and it's titled on the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel. It's titled Another Shaking, but it is actually going in and with a deep dive into the first two verses of chapter 1 of Bereshit, of Genesis. And now in this chapter, there seems to be a little bit of a connection to that. I love these different allusions and how we study something out, and then in the next few days, even more shows up on the subject. So I think that's kind of interesting as well. So I'm always looking for little treasures and tidbits like that. Sometimes it's something that I have an opportunity to share with everyone later, and sometimes it just seems to be another nugget for me, and I kind of put it on the shelf and wait for another opportunity. But it's always fun. I love the discovery, because it's in these little things that the Father just loves to give us, these little nuggets, little treasures, little pearls that encourage us in our walk with Him. Anyway, by the way, if you're online and you haven't done that yet, of course, if you're watching right now, or if you're going to catch it in the archives and jump over, if you're in the archives and you're watching it on the Lamb Network, thank you for being there as well. And but jump over to the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. We'd certainly appreciate that. And okay, let's jump into Enoch. We're in chapter 61, a little bit longer, a little bit more, and I want to revisit that verse. Oh, yeah. It was talking about travail. That was in 61:7. Trouble shall come upon them as upon a woman in travail, whose labor is severe, when her children come to the mouth of the womb, and she finds it difficult to bring forth. And so this is, it was talking about, the kings of the earth, the rulers, the ones that are in positions of power, whether they're elected or they're not elected. I mean, think about how the EU is run right now. The EU is run by a bureaucracy of people that were not elected. And so every EU community, every country that's part of the EU, has to follow the rules of these bureaucrats or these technocrats, and whatever their little sub-departments are, and their subcommittees are, and whatever rules they come up with, guess what? All of the EU has to follow it if you're going to be part of the EU. And it just makes me think about these kings, the princes, the exalted, those who rule over all the earth. I mean, why would Klaus Schwab, why would he have any type of legitimate authority over any of the nations? And yet, being that he's head of the World Economic Forum, I think he's looking for a successor for himself, because I think he's retiring. But he says, well, look, we have so many percent of all the cabinets in the World Economic Forum with our people in them. And why? Because it's about influence. That puts him in a position of power. But it's not only just people like that, or the bureaucrats in the EU, or members of Congress and the Senate, and people that have been selected as president. You know what I mean when I say that. Or we could say leaders in banking, leaders, people that are leaders in banking or like Wall Street, like BlackRock, people in those high positions, they don't get there without having pledged allegiance to the world powers that be. And let me say it this way. I would have to say to the powers, the principalities, and the rulers of the dark world, the archons, the fallen ones. They don't get there. They don't get in those positions unless they have bowed the knee. That's why I think it's very interesting is that the whole world is against Donald Trump because he hasn't bowed the knee. He is the rebel, and he really believes in the American people. And it's refreshing to have somebody like that. It's refreshing to know that those are out there. But this book in chapter 61, so we have, it also includes like the generals, the leaders of armies, militaries, you name it. You could say leaders of law enforcement branches of within the governments, all the way down even to many of the city and county levels. And how did they get there? The head of the FBI, the head of we did a segment on Let Us Reason Together on the shadow government, and we only hit just a few. Some of them, most of them, I didn't even know those names. But in that document that I was using, there were pages and pages of these. This is the committee that rules America. It's the figurehead in the White House that's there right now. He's not making the decisions. And that's the other reason the committee, this council that's really governing the country, they're not elected. And I think they would fit in the qualification of these that are listed in Enoch chapter 61. And that's why they don't want President Trump. That's why they tried to assassinate him twice here in as many months. And not only that, do you realize that there's been at least 2 other assassination attempts on President Trump's life? And there's probably others that we haven't even heard about. Even for the fact that his plane, when he was traveling, he was flying, it was just a few days after the Pennsylvania event. And they had to make a sudden, unexpected stop in Montana because there was a maintenance issue on the plane. Well, what was that about? Was it really legitimate, or was it some type of sabotage going on? And they had to put down and do something about it and fix it. So who is this committee, those operating in the shadows that often come out on CNN and ABC, NBC, CBS? By the way, those mouthpieces are maybe they're not part of the committee, but they are in collusion. And I would put them in the same category that they are going to be among all the kings, the princes, the exalted, and those who possess the earth. You can throw the Sean Combs people in there, P. Diddy. You can throw Jeffrey Epstein in there. You can put the head of any spy organization. I mean, the list goes on, and you can see, because these are the ones that are controlling things and the things that are taking place, and the people that are exposing what they're doing behind the scenes. Guess what? They don't live long after they've exposed the things that are going on, or their careers and their life is destroyed. I mean, if you look at people that have done news articles about these people, and they were not flattering news articles. They weren't the ones that are trying to give an image of who these people really are. They're given an image of who they're not, but they want who they want us to believe they are. And so if that's why people like Alex Jones, Elon Musk, many others, even Joe Rogan, these are people that have made, not Alex Jones because he's been, exposing this stuff for a long time, but Elon Musk, direct attack against his family. And he woke up, and now he's standing really hard against these evil leaders. Joe Rogan, he's he's been awake for a long time, but he's kind of soft pedal things. But he is becoming very hardcore behind the scenes. Apparently, he's even more hardcore than what his interviews are like. But he's getting hitting right on point. So the exposure of these people against the deep state, they find themselves under direct attack, lawfare, all that sort of thing, because the people that are the kings, the princes, the exalted, and those who possess the earth, guess what? They still wield their sword against the good people, just like you and I are. So yeah, Yah is going to clean house. And that's what chapter 61 is all about. That's right. Exactly, Linda. And Lou, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing new under the sun. And these things have been going on, for centuries, millennia, right? And so I think what's very interesting is that Enoch tells us, hey, these writings, they were covered up. Why would they be dropped from the common 66 book of the scriptures that we have, the canon of scriptures that we have? Why was Enoch dropped out of it? Because there are some things that they saw was flawed, or maybe, but there is an authority of insight that we get, and when it speaks specifically of the judgment to come, Enoch really does not pull any punches, does he? He doesn't. So let's go on. Let's look at some of these things. So we know that when the judgment's coming upon them, it's a great shaking, and they're going to be looking for their caves, and they're going to be hiding, and they're going to do everything they can because fear will come over them. The fear of Yah will come over them, and yet, as we read last week, that they shall behold this son of Adam sitting upon the throne of his glory. Well, I was looking at the son of Adam. There's a couple places in scripture that talks about Yeshua is the son of Adam. And one is over in the lineage that's over in Luke, and you can look that up for yourself when you go through the lineage of names, because it's talking about all the different sons who is the son of this and the son of that and son of this, and it goes back the son of Adam, and even in Bereshit in the Torah portion, it's what do we see? Seth is the son of Adam, and so the son of Adam, it's a very important thing. So by descendant, Yeshua, the son of Adam, he's also known in scripture over in 1 Corinthians. Where is it? 1 Corinthians 15:45. He's also known as the second Adam, and where the scripture says, and so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Well, who's the last Adam? Well, that would be Yeshua. He's the one. He's the one that bookends. We're the first man. But why do you say? Why is he the last Adam? Wouldn't be the last child born before the coming of the Son of Man be the last Adam? I don't know. Maybe one sense you can say that. But the title of the son of Adam is only given. Now that's using the word last Adam. I want to see what that word last is in the Greek. Son of Adam is the title that Enoch is writing, and specifically talking about, because he's the one sitting upon the throne of his glory. But it's also equating the one that's sitting on the throne is also Yahweh Sabaoth. So, so think about that. You have this connection. That word for the last Adam is eskatos, and it means extreme, last in time or in place, last in a series of places, so last in a temporal succession. So when you look at that, it's interesting too. Last of rank, great of worth, and last as in being the lowest. So Yeshua absolutely being the most humble. I mean, he's Yahweh who humbled himself and became a man. I mean, that's worth thinking about. And but last, I think what fits is in terms of in time or in place, Yeshua, the Aleph and the Tav, the Aleph and the Tav. So the son of Adam, and here he is, the last Adam, or the one who we see when we were studying out Bereshit in the message titled "Another Shaking," is the one who is slain from the foundation of the earth. It's embedded right there at the very beginning of Genesis, because he is the one that has been perfected and or not been perfected. He is the perfect, and who is now raising up his bride to be perfected in 7 days, and he rests. We have the two. Well, how does the one who is slain from the foundation of the earth then also end up being the Tav? Because he's the one that marries the bride and seals the deal, right? He's the one that seals the deal. And so let's go back over here. The son of Adam sitting upon the throne. Verse 10, then shall the kings, the princes, and all who possess the earth glorify him who has dominion over all things. And this is one of the things, I wanted to get to this. Who has dominion over all things, him who has concealed from the beginning the son of Adam existed in secret, which El Elyon preserved in the presence of his power and revealed to the elect. So I think that's very interesting, because in Genesis 1:1, where we see in Bereshit, that whole idea that the son of Adam pre-existed. He existed from the beginning, and yet we had to dig it out through the word study and through a bunch of, looking at the gematria of different connections and looking and pulling back the layers. And there we saw the one who was slain from the foundation of the world. He existed in secret. He was from the beginning, and he was preserved in the presence of El Elyon's power. And he was concealed, and we revealed the concealing. So that is it was so interesting. And that's what we're trying to pull back and we're looking at. And here Enoch is talking about that very thing. I'm thinking, he's got the Torah. He's looking at it. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm phasing in and out, but that's just because of my background. It's a fake background. Okay, so here we have that the son of Adam exists in a secret, and Yah preserves him. And then he was revealed to the elect. So think about this. You and me, having come to Yeshua, and it says that this one that was concealed is revealed to us. And anybody else that was looking for it, even during the Second Temple period, before the coming of Messiah, they believed in Yeshua the Messiah, that he was coming, that he was going to be born. And this is where we can say that he was revealed to anybody that was seeking, anybody that seeks after him, that he will show himself, he will reveal himself. And because we seek him with all of our hearts, and that's what scripture tells us. So he's willing, and he's wanting, and he's desiring. And for most people, they just want to dabble. Most people just want to say, oh, that's really good information, but I don't want to make the lifestyle changes for really to elevate my life to be one that's living in his presence. So that is one of the interesting things is, in going on in verse 12, all the kings and the princes, the exalted, and those who rule over the earth shall fall down on their faces before him and shall worship him. And it's like, in these next few phrases here, it's almost like, well, they're going to get a pass. Like for some reason that they might just be able to get out of it. Because what do when they fall down on their faces to worship him? They fix their hope on the son of Adam. Isn't that what you and I do? We fix our hope on the son of Adam. But there's a difference in the timing of things, right? This is after the great shaking and the great travail, and now they're before the Son of Adam. This is they're right before his throne. And it says, shall pray to him and petition him for mercy. Well, what is it that now all of a sudden that they have this great epiphany? Why is it that they simply come into the full knowledge and the understanding that now perhaps because they can see, and they see the great loving kindness and mercy upon the face of Messiah, of the Son of Adam, sitting there on his throne, and they're like, oh, you're the greatest. We worship you. And I mean, it's like a jailhouse conversion. You know what a prison conversion is? And it's those who, they come to Jesus. I'm going to use that term. They have the come to Jesus time in prison, and then they get out of prison. And what happens to them? Where do they go? Why aren't they fellowshipping with believers? Why do they separate themselves? Why? Because they have a tremendous, and actually an active, fiery, living relationship with the Most High. And they are having revelation in a place that would seem to be a horrible place, which it is for those of us on the outside. And yet here they're having these encounters with Yah. And when they leave, what happens to them? Where do they go? They return, many to the same lifestyle that they came out of. Why? Because that's the only place they know where to go. That their families are not any different than when they came, than when they went in, and those influences and the negative influences are still out there. And they get back into the drinking, they get back into the drugs, and all of these things that then what? When they're inside and they're cleaned up and sober, they have a heightened sensitivity to the things of Yah. But when they get on the outside, and then they just start picking up the substances, and they start picking up all these other old habits again, which then start to dull the senses. And the next thing you know, where are they? They've walked away, and they find themselves, and sometimes even in a worse condition than when they were before. And I'm not judging and I'm not condemning. I'm just saying this is a reality. When we've been pulled out and saved out of those types of things, then that's where we should be placing our hope. That's just like these worldly elect, not the elect of Yah, but these leaders of the world. They put their hopes into something that they're hoping to get off, and yet it says here, then shall Yahweh Tsabaoth hasten to expel them from his presence. Their faces shall be full of confusion, and their faces shall darkness cover. The angel shall take them to punishment, that vengeance may be inflicted on those who oppressed his children and his elect, and they shall become an example to the Kedoshim and the elect through them. Let me just pause right there. So guess what? Yahweh's sitting on his throne is just going to look at him and say, guys, no, you don't have a place here. You never repented when you had time. You never turned to me. You never gave up the darkness, the sorceries, the power, the love of the prestige and the fame and the glory. You never gave it up. And you did evil things to the elect and to the Kedoshim. I think one of the things I was thinking about, because we've been kind of going through this, exploring who are the Kedoshim, and the Kedoshim, the holy ones, and as opposed to the elect. And it seems to me that perhaps the Kedoshim and the elect can be one and the same. But it makes a differentiation between the two. And we kind of explore the idea of maybe the Kedoshim might be like the angels, which they could possibly be. But I think also, because when we're looking at Enoch and the writers of the book of Enoch, or the writer of the book of Enoch, and how it came out of the Second Temple period, that it could also be simply speaking of the priestly class. And so all of that brings us to this idea that through them shall these be made joyful. Who are these? The Kedoshim and the elect shall be made joyful, for the anger of Yahweh Tzebaoth shall rest upon them. I mean, the translations, you start to figure, who's them, who the pronouns, who are the pronouns pointing to. So I really think what it's saying, it is the Kedoshim and the elect are joyful because they see what's happening to them, these kings, these princes, these rulers, the exalted of those rulers over all the earth. And they see that they get their just reward. And it's like, what is it that we see when one's arch enemy is destroyed? There is a celebration. There's great joy that takes place. And I mean, look what happened. I kind of mentioned it from another point of view on Let Us Reason Together on Monday about the people in the streets of Israel when Yahya, whatever his name is, these are the arch enemy, the leader of Hamas. He was killed. And what did the people of Israel do? They were out on the streets and they were celebrating his death, and they brought out baked goods and they were celebrating because their arch enemy had been destroyed. Sinwar, thank you, Lou. Sinwar, appreciate our friends. Y'all fill in the blanks for me. Okay, so going in here, think about it. If we saw, let's just. Okay, and I think a lot of us would probably agree. So if we saw like the current opposition candidate in the Democratic Party that's running for president, running mate of that person, her predecessor who stole the last election, those that within the leadership of the Congress, like the Pelosi's and the Schumers and all of them, and even the leader of BlackRock, and maybe I was thinking about all these different European leaders. I just don't want to say all these different names, but I was just saying, when you think about them, and then you see judgment coming upon them. In one sense, it's like very sad they never took that opportunity to repent before Yah, right? And when we look at that, the crimes though that they've done against humanity, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, the people that are in their minions, that are in their ranks, that have done their dirty deeds. I mean, look at the death count around the Clintons. I mean, you think about it and you look at all of these things. It's like, this isn't right. This is not natural. It's not normal that so many people have so many dead people around them. And so now, when we would look upon that and we say that those who are in the greatest opposition, who are causing our deaths, the deaths of our families, the death of our friends, the destruction of our jobs, the destruction of our economy and our ability to buy and sell and all of that, and those arch enemies are destroyed, well, I would think there would be a great sigh of relief and even a celebration, knowing that they would never, ever return to do such evil again. And that's why it says that they will, that the elect and the Kedoshim are made joyful for the anger of Yahweh Tzebaoth. And it goes on, it says, then the sword of Yahweh Tzebaoth shall be drunk with their blood, but the Kedoshim and the elect shall be safe in that day, nor the face of the sinners and the wicked shall they thenceforwards behold. So in other words, it's not only these rulers of the world, it's not only them, but anybody that did not repent and turn and turn to Yeshua and turn to Yahweh and proclaim his great name. It's even them, even the sinners and the wicked, all of them put together as one are subject to the sword of Yahweh. And that is where it's very interesting. I think that brings us to another connection in Revelation chapter 19, verse 11, 11 through 16. It's interesting. You know this verse very well, I'm sure, where it says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat upon it is called faithful and true, and in righteousness he judges and wages war. And his eyes are a flame of fire, and upon his head are many diadems, and he has a name written upon him no one knows except himself. He is clothed with a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yah. And the armies which are in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, are following him on white horses. And from his mouth comes a sharp sword, so that with it he may smite the nations, and he will rule them with an iron rod, and he treads the winepress of the fierce wrath of Yah, the Almighty. And on his robe and on his thigh he has a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So think about that. So here he is. His robe is dipped in blood, and out of his mouth is a sword. It seems like there's a correlation between this, because he's destroying the enemies of Yah and the enemies of his people. Because what did the enemies of Yah's people, his family, his bride even, what were they doing? They were destroying them. They were going after them. They were killing them. They were decapitating them. They were imprisoning them. They were doing great injustices. I think about Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, eligible, first time ever in prison, eligible for that first time early release. And what they do? No, you're not eligible. You're going to have to stay in the whole time. Why? Because it's lawfare. It's warfare against the good people of the earth. And that's what these people, because they're doing that type of thing, they don't think they're going to escape the judgment. I mean, seriously, it's definitely something to consider and watch out for. And it's because it is just the evil. It's really just the evil, and we got to put up with it. We're living through it. But guess what? It says here about, what about us? Oh yeah. Because then it says, and the Kedoshim and the elect will be safe in that day. And so so get this paradigm. The paradigm that the church wants us to believe is talking about a pre-tribulation rapture, which is then followed by a great time of tribulation, and then anybody who's not raptured out then has to go through this great tribulation. And yet during this time of great judgment, where it seems like there's a great shaking going on and there's great things that are coming upon the earth. In fact, these next chapters are going to be talking more about that as well. But it says, but specifically, as Yahweh is going after them, that his sword is drunk with their blood, it says the elect and the Kedoshim will be safe in that day, or shall be safe in that day. So the pre-tribulation rapture people say, oh, if you're going to the great tribulation, then it's going to be a very, very bad time for anybody that's on the earth, and it's not going to be safe for anybody, and all these things are going to happen. You're going to wish that you would have repented and gone up and raptured before everything took place, right? But I'm thinking that there seems to be, now I know that when the wrath comes, well, think about it. When the wrath of Yah comes, that's what we know in the book of Revelation. When the wrath comes, it's not, let's say the sword of judgment. Let's make that very clear, because people, even the pre-trib rapture people, like to use that term, that we've been preserved from Yah's wrath. That the wrath is only for so and so, and that's why people are raptured out, because they're preserved from the wrath, because the wrath is poured out upon the earth. But wait a minute, I think what's happened is that we start mixing in these interpretations. We're not getting the whole picture, because the wrath is not meant for the righteous. The wrath is not meant. It's that sword of Yah's judgment is for the wicked. And so we really need to understand that though 1,000 fall at our side and 10,000 at our right hand, these things shall not come upon us. So when Psalm 91 is talking about that, then we need to understand, let's believe what the word says. How many times when the word is telling us something and we just don't quite believe it? Maybe it's because we've been trained that way in our society. When the news tells us lies, as if it's the truth, and then we come to realize that that it's really not the truth because they're lying to us. And so when the politicians tell us something, they say, well, they probably don't really mean it that way. There's just rhetoric. And yet they mean it. They do mean it. What they say is what they mean. It's not rhetoric. When they said they were going to assassinate President Trump early in President Trump's his first administration, his first term, they meant it, that they were going to kill him. And that they've been following through with that. And that's the same thing when we have to realize that when the word tells us something, it's not, well, is that rhetoric? It's just kind of giving us a philosophical point of view that allows us to kind of float along through life? Or do we simply step back and say, no, y'all said it, and I've read it now, and I believe it? Why do we put those things up as like, well, it really doesn't, maybe it's just kind of metaphorical, or no, if y'all said that that his sword will be drunk with their blood and we shall be safe in that day, then I think then his sword is going after every one of those wicked and evil rulers of this world, and we shall be safe in this day. So you think about all of the other stuff that's going on. Yahweh has a way to preserve his own. Remember Noah. Noah went great shaking. We're going to get into that. We need to get into that time over in chapter 64, because in chapter 64 about Noah, it says that that Noah went to look for his great-grandfather Enoch, and he finds him, and he's crying out to him, and he's saying, look, the earth labors and is violently shaking. He says, like, something's happening in the earth. Before the flood, there was a great shaking. I was talking about another shaking, right? There was a great shaking before the flood. Noah said something was going on in the earth. Well, Gil Broussard gives us a really good idea that what that great shaking was doing is when this planet 7X celestial body comes through our solar system and passes by the earth, it shakes everything. And the things that are happening on the earth right now, things that are happening on the sun right now, things that are happening in the other planets right now, planetary changes in the atmosphere. I think, what was it, of Neptune? I learned this last week. Collapse. The atmosphere in Neptune collapsed. How in the world is the atmosphere in a planet that far out from the sun collapse? Other than there's some type of body that's influencing the atmosphere, causing the storms of Jupiter to change, to enlarge. Or disappear or something. It's huge. I mean, the things that are happening on the planet, earthquakes on Mars is what they're saying they're detecting. Earthquakes on Mars. Well, why is it happening now? And they haven't detected those things before. So what is out there? What's this influence? And so in chapter 64, look what's happening on the earth. Earthquakes like never before. Volcanic activity like never before. Storms like we've never seen ever before. It was like, well, some of it's influenced by man. Maybe, yeah, influenced by man. But even still, other things that are naturally taking place on the earth that have not happened, except when we can connect the dots, like Gil Broussard has done, with other biblical events. So I think that is also an interesting connection. But let's go back here and finish off in chapter 61 of Enoch, and where it says, and with this son of Adam shall they dwell, eat, lie down, and rise up forever and ever. The Kedoshim and the elect have arisen from the earth and have left off to depress their countenances and have been clothed with the garment of life. The garment of life, that garment of life, is with Yahweh Tzebaoth, in whose presence your garment shall not wax old, nor shall your glory diminish. Guess what? No more run into the mall to get another set of clothes. How you like that? How do you like them apples? No, I think that's pretty cool. But the garment of life, I think it's the same type of the garment of life that Adam, Mrs. Adam tried to, they had to do something when they lost it in the garden, and so they put fig leaves on them, and Yahweh had to put animal skins on them, and because I believe that this is the garment of life that covered them. They would have lived forever. Well, they also would have, had they been in the garden, they could have eaten from the tree of life and lived forever as well. So, but I really like this thing here because isn't it in Revelation chapter 4? Revelation chapter 4, where maybe it's 3. Revelation chapter 3. Let's go over there real quick. Yeah, verse 20. This is in the Message to Laodicea, where it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and will dine with him and he with me." So again, another allusion, a connection of this writing that comes out of the scrolls of the Second Temple period, that talks about the son of Adam dwelling, eating, and hanging out with his people. So, which is really an awesome thing. And I love the echoes. I love the sound of that. He keeps saying that. In fact, it was kind of interesting how he was talking about the October 9th sign about the horns of Taurus is called the golden gateway, and how Jupiter had come into the golden gateway on the 8th great day on the priestly calendar, and where it when it went into retrograde motion, it's like it comes to the gateway, it comes to the door and stops and pauses for half a day. That pause is it where it starts to reverse its course, and from the viewpoint of Earth, but it looks like the king planet, the Messiah planet, is the one that pauses at the door as if he's knocking on the door, waits for it to be opened, and then passes through it. The Golden Gate prophecy. Maybe the Golden Gate prophecy is also to be fulfilled, and that gate will be opened up there in the Eastern Gate, opened up in Jerusalem, and Messiah will pass through it, as what the Sultan in 1535 was so concerned about the Messiah coming and going through the gate. So he bricked it up. But here, I think ultimately is that this is the fellowship, and we see that illusion here in Enoch. We see the illusion in Revelation, and yet it's not an illusion. It's like, it's not metaphorical. It's a real thing. Okay. Yeah, it still is. The Messiah planet, the Jupiter, has been in the gate for several weeks, hanging out there, dining, so to speak. And so very, very, very interesting. So, and I like these idea of these clothes, this clothing, this garment of life. Perhaps one would see it as the bridal gown. Had kind of like a vision of that on Shabbat, and I was just described it for everybody. I saw this thing, and I just want to y'all weigh it in, figure out what you want to do with it. But it was a beautiful bridal gown. I mean, it was like the skirt of the gown was so satiny, smooth, not one wrinkle, not stain, not a blemish, not anything out of place, just beautiful and just broad. And I just think about what these garments will be like when it's time, and we'll be redressed by Messiah. He provides it for us, and it won't grow old. Let's go into chapter 62. Oh my goodness, we're out of time. We can't even get out of 61. We got to save 62 for next week. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it and at least got something out of it. Maybe inspired a little bit and encouraged by it. Maybe it's made some connections. maybe just had some fun, because this is about an adventure. This isn't really about an exegetical look at the book of Enoch, and as much as it is an adventure of these things that Enoch is experiencing face to face with the Most High, and seeing these visions of the future, and seeing these the looking deep into the prophetic realm. I cannot wait till we get to 64, when Enoch comes face to face with Noah. Oh my goodness. And it's like, what an encounter it is. So we'll get there. We'll get there soon enough. But if you enjoyed this, like and share, and invite people to join us on our live edition here on Tuesday evenings and be part of the chat. If not, catch us. If you miss us, catch us in the archives. You can catch us here on Life of Worship channel, Life of Worship Ministries, and as well. And again, join us on Shabbat, noon Central, Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel. You can join us there as well for our Torah portion, and then at 3 for our encounter service. So we'll see y'all there. Until next time, Shalom.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again, or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lamnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network. We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lamnetwork.tv website. I'm Sandi Craig, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.